school board member or a school superintendent demands a lot. It's a challenge. It demands great leadership under almost all circumstances. But just imagine if you were one of those school districts that was affected by a natural disaster like Superstorm Sandy. It makes that task even much more difficult. And those storms and those disasters, when they occur, to us, they feel like they're only yesterday. But also, if they don't affect us personally, we look back and it's something that happened in history. At NJSBA's workshop in 2014, I had the opportunity to talk to a couple of school administrators as well as a school board member about their district's experience with Superstorm Sandy. I think you'll be inspired by their stories, the challenges that they overcome and how they help the students during this crisis. So sit back and relax and be inspired.
But 2 years ago today, Hurricane Sandy, or Superstorm Sandy hit, and I know it affected your district. Briefly tell us how it affected your district, and then tell us where your district is now.
Okay, I'd be happy to do that. We were pretty much at ground zero. Lavallette, Ortley Beach, that whole area of the Jersey Shore was devastated. Remarkably, our school building itself was not harmed. We didn't get a drop of water in our school building. One of the few buildings in town that wasn't affected directly by the storm. However, the town was devastated, and all of our students and their families, their homes were damaged. Some were completely swept away, some were flooded, The town was shut down. It was not able to be occupied from the day of the storm until sometime in January, around New Year's. So even though the school building was intact, we couldn't use the school building. Kids were, the town was not, we were allowed to come in and fix our homes or clean out our homes or whatever, get started, but we weren't allowed to live in the town until sometime in January. So what we chose to do, we wanted to keep the kids together in their classes, and we wanted to keep their teachers in front of them. So we thought that would be beneficial from both an educational and really an emotional standpoint. We thought it was important to keep the kids together in their classes and give them some sense of stability and normalcy. So what we did as a Board of Education, and we had tremendous leadership from our superintendent and business administrator, Pete Morris and Pat Christopher, we relocated the entire school. We found a facility in Toms River, St. Barbara's Church, and we used their classrooms and their gymnasium. We moved the entire operation into Toms River, into St. Barbara's. We were there for about 3 months or so. I think on January 7th of 2013, we were able to return to our building and resume normal operations. I think it was greatly appreciated by the community that we were able to do that we were able to keep the kids together and the school, so to speak, intact. And operating during that transition period. We're pretty much back now. The one thing that the storm has done to us is it's reduced our population. As you know, we're a small school to begin with, but ironically, right before the storm, we were pretty robust for us. We were, about 180 students or so for a small little school like Lavallette, which is pretty robust for us. We've lost about 40 kids that haven't come back, kids that were displaced and just haven't returned yet. So that's something that we're struggling with. But in terms of the educational component, we're back.
All right. It's 2 years, an anniversary of Superstorm Sandy hitting New Jersey, and that affected your district tremendously.
Yes.
Just tell us a little bit how it affected you briefly.
Sure. We were hit pretty hard, Ray. As you are aware, we've had many conversations. The Union Beach School District and the community was devastated. We were out of our building for a good part of the year. We were displaced from day after the storm up until June 3rd, and we were fortunate enough to bring our students and staff back into the school district in June. But it was a very, very tough task, and we asked a lot of our teachers and staff. We moved them twice. Very, very difficult. Keyport School District, as you know, took in our middle school students for the entire time, while we moved our elementary students to 2 different locations. We were able to provide the best instruction that we could during this tough time. but we are still reeling as a district. In total, we're down about 100 students, and that's for a combination of students that just cannot come back into district and those that just articulate, out due to our low numbers in 8th grade. But it's still a very, very tough time because most of our teachers and staff members are community members, and the Union Beach School District is the lifeblood of the community. The community itself, parents are still reeling. We have displaced students as we speak that are really trying their best to come into district, and the board has been gracious enough to allow these families to take care of their finances and get back on their feet while their students and children are being educated in the Union Beach School District.
2 years later, you're still feeling
absolutely 100%.
Joe, I'd like to thank you.
You got it.
For joining us.
Thank you, Ray.
At this time period, today actually is the exact anniversary of Sandy.
Yes.
Superstorm Sandy, and I know it affected your district. I talked to Joe, and I know you guys worked together. But could you briefly tell us how it affected your district?
That was probably when I met you in more depth that time, unfortunately. It was something that most certainly was not taught in superintendent school, something that I would never want to happen again, but most certainly something that made myself as well as my board and our communities grow immensely. It still has its ramifications. I still have some children from Union Beach, that's half of my high school, that are rebuilding. I've had families in terms of getting grants, things like that, to that capacity. I still now am working with Barnabas and Central State to provide services for children because it didn't just happen and go away. It is more that long-term effect on our children, and obviously, the academic package is exactly what we're there for, but we'd be remiss if we didn't support the children as they're going through this entire process. So I would say to you, a lot of really good things resulted from it. Again, devastating, but relationships were built, services were established. We housed Union Beach students probably for about 9 months. I watched the staff from both Keyport and Union Beach seamlessly integrate hundreds of children into our district. It was a done deal. I couldn't have been more proud of my staff and the children. They made it all happen. I just asked the board's permission. They, of course, said yes. Keyport did serve as a shelter for about 11 days prior to that happening. And people are asking me to reflect, and I'm forgetting just all that we do. We just do. And I think the relationship of the support of the school boards as well as my personal board has helped all of that be very successful.
And I'll commend you because I know you reached out to Union Beach.
I did.
And I'll personally commend the districts because I think they really put aside any differences any people had. Not that you had differences.
No, not even a thought.
Both the communities came together.
No, not even a thought. I have to say that day, the day after the storm, when we were building our shelter at my elementary school, I asked the chief of police, because at that point you could not get even down into the town, to drive me down. And Joe was in the middle of just chaos. And it's almost as if, somebody suffers a loss. All I said to him is, you're not going to remember what I'm saying, just remember, call me. And he did. And we met on a Saturday with members of our board. We met with the county superintendent. We just did. And that's really what we do. I don't really even know how to put that into words. It was not even a thought process in terms of should we, shouldn't we. We just did. We worked collaboratively. And Joe's relationship with myself, we're one community, Union Beach and Keyport. We are united, so absolutely.